Hi everyone. This is a little detail about the assignment we're going to do for week 2 called the Internet Lesson Critique. So right now I'm in the modules section of our course. Scroll down to week 2. If I click on the assignment, it gives me just some quick objectives as to what the assignment is for. What I'm going to want to do though is to go to the details to get all of the resources that I'm going to need. So we're going to be analyzing a lesson online. We're going to be using the Nets for Students. We're going to be using some of the tenets that were shared in Visual Architecture by Judy Harris. And then you'll have a lesson analysis chart. So let's take a quick look at that. If I click on the lesson analysis chart, you'll make a copy. This is a Google Doc. You'll make a copy of this. And then you've got some things that you're going to fill in. So what standards were addressed? Did you feel like the technology in the lesson was appropriate? What about the content in the lesson? Is it linked to standards? And then I've got some links within here to kind of describe different elements that we think about in terms of curricular theory, constructivist didactics, so that's direct teaching versus kids forming their own opinions about what's happening. Communication skills, social skills, student learning styles, and multiple intelligences. So all those have links to give more information about what those are about. And then finally, in the summary, you're going to kind of reflect on how does this lesson meet the needs with gifted students in particular. So I would say a positive for a lesson for gifted students would be something that had stretch or choice or options for students to go above and beyond. A lesson that would not be so strong for gifted students and something that was very directed with no other outside options of how kids could go with the lesson. Clearly, all students need direct instruction at times, but with your gifted students, you want to make sure you always have a different direction that they're able to go in. So then if I go back to our lesson, that's the main piece that you'll be filling out is this analysis chart. The second part is that you're going to be filling out something called a POMAT chart. So this is a chapter from a book that we no longer assign because it wasn't appropriate for all teachers. It doesn't fit everybody's classroom. But this kind of talks about how to modify lessons in order to make sure that they meet more of the multiple intelligences. Typically when we teach, I'm going to scroll down to page 6 here, it's got the actual chart and example. When we teach, we usually focus on logical or we focus on verbal, and we don't often get to the other areas. One lesson is typically not going to have elements of every single intelligence. That would be really hard to do and do effectively and well. So what you're looking to do is if you think that you're mostly in the logical realm or the verbal realm, what is something that you can add from one of those other categories, two of those other categories, so that kids are interacting with the content differently? Because we do know from research, the more ways that kids interact with content, the more likely they are to make it their own, to remember it, to be able to use it later. So this first resource tells you how to use the chart, and then later on in the assignment, I actually have a link to a document that will help you to be able to fill out the POMAT chart. So if you click down there at the bottom, here's a Google Doc version for you to just fill out, or you can make your own, whatever seems easier. So just make a copy of this one too when you're ready to do that particular assignment. So there's two parts. There's the lesson analysis and then there's the POMAT analysis. That's what you're going to be able to fill in. You don't have to write in paragraphs unless you feel like you need to put more explanation. So when we look at lesson resources, I've got a few here. I don't feel like they're the best right now. I feel like they're kind of dated at this point, but they do give you a starting point to get some ideas about what are some different lessons that are available. So let's do a quick search for, I don't know, we'll do a web quest on, let's say, American history. So I'm going to look to see whether Quest Garden gives me anything back in response. Okay. And very appropriately named, this is called American history. Okay. So we need for people to come up with better explanations. So with the particular web quest, we'd need to know, okay, so what's the task? Students are going to be creating an essay after looking for some resources. What's the process? They're going to make a display. What's the evaluation? How are they going to be evaluated? And then there's a rubric here. And then in conclusion, what are you supposed to draw from conclusions? So I would rate this particular web quest pretty limited, doesn't have a lot of detail, and not much detail is fine as long as the kids are having more options and able to fill in blanks. But this is a pretty straightforward technical task. This is not very innovative. So it wouldn't rank very high. So I don't need for you to find a great lesson. What I need for you to do is find a lesson that you might think about using in your classroom and then look at it from the different aspects of does it meet multiple intelligences? Does it actually have resources for gifted kids? And the idea is if you can take something that already exists and then change it to make it better, it's easier than trying to create something from scratch. So these are supposed to give you the skills of, well, what's my personal rubric for as a teacher for making sure that the time I spend with students is well spent and they are working on the things they need to work on using technology, and how can I do that in the best way possible? So you can find your own web quest. You can go with the ones that are on the list, but you're going to be basically doing two things with that web quest. You're going to be filling out the POMAT chart to look at what levels of intelligence there are in there, in addition to filling out this chart for your critique. And then the actual assignment, if I go back to where the assignment is, you'll have I have a rubric posted there for you to know how I'm going to be evaluating your work. Finally, you want to probably post your all your work that you found, a link to the lesson, the POMAT chart, as well as your lesson analysis, you're going to want to post that here, because not only am I going to be grading you, but your peers are going to give you feedback. It should create a library of lessons that we can draw from, okay? And then also look to see how other people analyzed the lessons that they looked at. So that will be the third part, actually, of the assignment. So back to modules. If we look at the assignment itself, your rubric is down here. And basically, did you complete the parts of the lesson? Did you do critical analysis of the lesson? And were you able to connect it to your professional practice? That's pretty much what I'm looking for. Okay? So again, you can contact me via email, or I'll be having that meet and greet kind of coffee thing at Panera on Tuesday. That's another option for you if you want to check in. Thanks.